Hey, a couple things I want to mention before we actually begin our walk. I'm recording this video in September of 2020. Of course, that's the period of time when we had the pandemic. We're on the tail end of the pandemic. And you're going to see most of the people that we see on the strip are wearing masks. Hopefully, when you actually watch this video, the pandemic is simply a bad memory. Another thing to mention is it's September, so the high temperature today is just about 100 degrees. So I want to let you know that in order to walk the strip in 100-degree temperatures, it can be a challenge. Since we're talking about a approximately 3-mile walk, in that kind of heat, if you're not used to walking in high temperatures, if you're not in decent health, then I would recommend that you don't do this. But at any rate, like I say, we'll be walking from the south end to the north end. Currently, I'm at the south end, and I'm actually looking towards the south. And the southmost casino hotel happens to be Mandalay Bay. Now, Mandalay Bay was actually built in 1999, but it's most famous, unfortunately, for the massacre that occurred in 2017, where gunmen opened fire on a music festival called the Route 91 Music Festival, and that occurred in 2017, and 60 people were killed. So that's Mandalay Bay. To the right of the Mandalay Bay is the Luxor. The Luxor is that pyramid-looking structure, and that was constructed in 1993. Now, the most recent construction that's occurred at this end of the strip, you actually can't see it, but it's over about a quarter mile directly ahead of, or above, or behind the Luxor and Mandalay Bay, and that happens to be Allegiant Stadium. That's the home of the old Los Angeles Raiders, and now the Las Vegas Raiders, the newest team in the NFL. To the right of the Luxor is the Excalibur Resort that we're looking at here. That was built in 1990, a very large casino resort. Happens to be on the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana Avenue. So across the street, across Tropicana Avenue, as you can see, I'll pan over to the casino New York, New York. And as you can see, it sure looks like we're looking at New York City. To the right, on the other side of Las Vegas Boulevard, again at the corner of Tropicana Avenue, is the Tropicana Hotel Casino and the MGM Resorts. Now, Tropicana is actually the oldest casino at this end of the strip, and that was built in 1957. It, of course, has gone through many renovations and expansions. So now I'm going to put my video in high speed mode here while we fast forward. Basically, going to walk down to the intersection of Tropicana Avenue and Las Vegas Boulevard, and I'm going to walk across this crosswalk. And as you can see, one of the nice things that they offer is there's a tram station that you can catch right here at the intersection that will take you to Mandalay Bay, so you don't have to actually walk to Mandalay Bay, because it is a pretty good walk. So let's continue our speed walk, and basically I'm going to cross over the Las Vegas Boulevard and cross over Tropicana Avenue onto and in front of New York, New York Casino. And as you can see, there's a lot of retail outlets and restaurants over here that are associated with New York, New York. Eventually, we'll get down to the New York, New York marquee, and there to the right, you'll see that there's a replica of the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's the marquee. So let's continue our walk and pick up the pace here a little bit, and we'll continue to walk northbound on Las Vegas Boulevard. So we'll take a quick look across the street from New York, New York, and you'll see that there are a ton of different retail outlets across the street, including CVS and Staples and things of that nature. We're working our way down here to the Park MGM Casino. Now that's a casino that just recently reopened, and one of the interesting things at Park MGM is it's the first casino that's opening as a non-smoking casino in Las Vegas. So that's a first for Las Vegas. Now, directly across the street from the Park MGM is the Hard Rock. Now, the Hard Rock was just recently sold to Virgin Hotels, so we'll have to wait and see what that turns out to be over the next year or so. Okay, so let's continue our northbound walk on the Strip, and you're going to see in a distance there Aria. Aria was constructed in 2009, and it's a massive complex. You're going to see it's going to take a couple minutes to walk by it, even in high-speed video mode here, but it's a complex. It actually used to be called, when it first was constructed, it used to be called City Center. It's since given up that name, and it's simply called Aria, and it's a complex of probably 6 or 7 different high-rise complexes, businesses, offices, retail outlets, and of course the primary attraction is the casino that you can see right there. But like I say, it's a massive complex. It's got a lot of high-end retail outlets in it, and it's a relatively expensive casino to stay at. So let's continue our journey here northbound on Las Vegas Boulevard. It's going to take a minute or so to get past the Aria, and eventually we're going to see the marquee for Aria, which is massive. But across the street from the Aria is directly across the street is Planet Hollywood, and I'll pan up so we see Planet Hollywood there. So that's directly across the street from the Aria, and on the same side of the street, after we pass the marquee for Aria, is going to be the Cosmopolitan. The Cosmopolitan was actually constructed in 2010, and it again is one of those high-end casino hotels. And so we're finally down to the marquee for Aria, and as you can see, it is just a massive marquee. Pretty impressive just to look at the marquee. So we'll continue our walk, and again on this same side of the boulevard, we'll come across Cosmopolitan, and across the street, like I said, is Planet Hollywood. Now, so as we continue our walk, we're going to eventually come to the Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan was built in 2010, and again, it's one of those high-end, relatively expensive casino resorts. But across the street, directly across the street from the Cosmopolitan, is Planet Hollywood. And I'm going to work my way across a couple crosswalks here and eventually get back down to street level. And I'm going to show you that directly across the street is a very large shopping complex, which is right in the base of Planet Hollywood. So on the first floor of Planet Hollywood is the Miracle Mile shops. And you'll see that, well, you can't see it from the outside, but it actually has 170 some odd retail outlets. I think there's 15 to 20 restaurants, and there's the front entrance to it there. But it's a very interesting place to go to if you're looking to shop. And there's the entrance to the Cosmopolitan. So, like I said, directly across the street, I'll give you a better angle on the Miracle Mile shops here in a second. But we're continuing our northbound walk, and eventually, as we get past, so as we continue to walk past the Cosmopolitan, I'll show you a couple of the entrances to the Cosmopolitan. We're getting down to the point where we're going to come up to the Bellagio Hotel, which again is there's the marquee for the Bellagio, a very large, very nice casino. And so we're right at the corner of the Bellagio and the Cosmopolitan. And as I cross over this little crosswalk, I'll pan back and show you what is probably considered the main entrance to the Cosmopolitan, and pan up and show you the hotel rooms for the Cosmopolitan. Again, relatively expensive casino resort to stay at, but very, very nice, very high end. So now directly across Las Vegas Boulevard from the Cosmopolitan and the Bellagio, I'll pan across the street and you're going to see we're going to start to come across Paris, the Paris Hotel Casino. And I'll also show you another entrance to the Miracle Mile shop. So if you're staying at Paris and you want to go shopping, there's an entrance to the Miracle Mile shop. So it's very convenient to this end of the strip. So as we continue our walk, we're going to be walking past the Bellagio. Now, the Bellagio was constructed in 1998. It's probably one of the most famous hotels on the Strip, and primarily because of its fountain display. The fountain display takes place every night. I think it starts as soon as it gets dark, and then it happens every 15 minutes. So if you're coming to Las Vegas, it's certainly uh, a good idea to come down and see the fountain display at the Bellagio. If you can't, just go onto YouTube and Google Bellagio fountain display, and it's pretty awesome to watch. So I'll get down to it here in a second, and there you go. So there's a big man-made lake out front of the Bellagio, and that's actually where the fountain display takes place. But you can see it very well from, across the street or up the street. And of course, the Bellagio has two large high rises. It's a relatively high-end casino also. Now, directly across the street, I'll pan across the street, and now we're pretty much directly across from the Paris. Now, Paris Hotel Casino is also relatively famous because of its the Eiffel Tower, the replica of the Eiffel Tower that it has, and of course the Paris hot air balloon. So I'll pan across the street and you'll see that. Now, one of the other things is there's the entrance to the Paris casino, and hot air balloon is right here to the right. And of course, the Eiffel Tower is off to the left. Now, at the top of the Eiffel Tower is a high-end restaurant, which I understand is one of the best restaurants in Las Vegas. And I'm sure I've never been up there, but I'm sure that the view is fantastic. So there's the Eiffel Tower, and I'll pan up to the top, and you'll see the restaurant that's up there. And I'm sure there's an observation area also. I'm not sure if the restaurant rotates or not. I know a number of places have rotating observation decks. Not sure if the Paris Eiffel Tower has that or not, but pretty impressive regardless. So the next thing that we're going to do as we walk past the Bellagio and Paris is we'll come across Bowie's Casino. In fact, you can see Bowie's there in a distance directly beside Paris. So as we continue northbound on Las Vegas Boulevard, again across the street, you're going to see the Bowie's Hotel and Casino right above the CVS there, directly beside the Paris Hotel and Casino. One thing to note is you see the Ferris wheel in a distance. I believe that's the largest Ferris wheel in the country. It's called the High Roller. It's on the Link Promenade, and I'll show you how to get there in just a minute, but it's pretty phenomenal. The directly beside Bowie's is we're going to come up to the hotel called the Cromwell Hotel. Now, that was originally called Bill's Gambling Hall and Casino, and it eventually went through a name change, remodel, and I believe Caesars also owns it now. So it's called the Cromwell, and I want to say that took place in 1979, but we're looking right now directly at Bowie's. So we'll continue our walk here in a second, and we'll get down to the intersection where we're going to need to cross over via a couple crosswalks to continue our journey. So when we get down here to the corner, I'll give you a better view of the Cromwell. Basically, we're working our way down past the Bellagio, and as you can see, coming into view is Caesar's Palace, which is directly beside the Bellagio. Pretty good walk between the two properties, but so that's on the same side of Las Vegas Boulevard. And of course, when you look across the street at this intersection here, you're going to see, like I was telling you, the Cromwell Hotel Casino. Again, it's owned by Caesars. Now, we're going to cross over this crosswalk here in a second, and we're going to get down to the point where we're directly across the street from the Flamingo Hotel and Casino. And as you can see, we're at the intersection of Flamingo Road and Las Vegas Boulevard. So as I said, we're going to cross over here, and we'll be directly across the street from the Flamingo Hotel. Flamingo has a very colorful history. It begins with a guy by the name of Pup Squire, who bought the land in 1944 for, get this, $8.75 an acre. He bought 40 acres, so basically for about $300, he bought the land for what would eventually become the Flamingo Hotel. A year later, he sold it to a lady by the name of Margaret Folsom for $7,500. Then she quickly sold it to a guy by the name of Billy Wilkerson. Wilkerson launched a build project, and he quickly ran into money problems and needed to sell the entire project. So along comes a guy by the name of Bugsy Siegel, the mobster. He raises $6 million from his casino buddies and completes the project. And he does it successfully, and he opens it on December 26th of 1946. The problem was it was a big flop, and it needed to close 1 month later for additional construction and other issues. Then he reopened it in March of 1947. Although 3 months later, on June 20th, those same mobster buddies of Bugsy decided to put a hit on him and gunned him down in his Beverly Hills home. So it's kind of a rich, colorful history related to it. By the way, it's named Flamingo because Bugsy Siegel's girlfriend, her nickname was Flamingo. So that's where the name originates from. It was originally 105 rooms, and now obviously it's got about 3,000 rooms, 3,000 plus rooms, I believe. So let's continue our walk here past the Flamingo, and we're actually going to be coming up on the same side that Okay, as we come up to the Caesars Palace Resort, we're going to see the Caesar Palace fountains. Now, the fountains at Caesars has a very rich history, and I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy by the name of Evel Knievel. He was a motorcycle stunt rider. Well, back in the 1960s, is actually in December of 1967, he decided to jump over the fountains at Caesars, and this was a televised event on New Year's Eve, I believe it was, of 1967. Well, it didn't go too good. He actually ended up crashing, and I believe he broke a total of 40 bones in his body in an attempt to jump over the fountains. You can Google it or go into YouTube, and you'll actually see the jump, and you'll see these fountains. You'll see these statues. In fact, this statue that's right out front that doesn't have a head on it, that was true back then also. I guess it was constructed that way to be an authentic piece of the Caesars property. By the way, Evel Knievel's son also was in the business of stunt motorcycle jumps, and he came back several years later, and he actually successfully jumped over the fountains. So again, that's something that you can Google and see that video also. And maybe I'll put a link to both of those YouTube videos. So let's continue our journey here past the Caesars Palace location. We're continuing northbound, and basically across the street from Caesars is, of course, we see the tail end of the Flamingo. And as we move further down the strip here, you're going to see the link is right here at this intersection of Caesars Palace Road. Again, at the end of the Link Promenade. So if we were to cross over the boulevard at that point, we would go down to the High Roller, which is that really tall, I think it's actually 50 feet tall, that roller coaster. So there's the LINQ Hotel Casino. The LINQ was actually originally called Imperial Palace. Eventually, it changed its name to the Quad, but now it's called the LINQ, and it's another one of the Caesars properties. Caesars actually owns probably 6 or 7 different properties on the Strip, and including the LINQ. In a second here, we're going to see the Harrah's Hotel and Casino. Harrah's was originally constructed in 1973, and it was called the Holiday Hotel and Casino. But it was eventually renamed to Harrah's. Now, across the street here, or on the same side of the street as Caesars, is the Forum Shops. This is again a very large indoor shopping complex, mostly high-end shops. I believe there's 157 separate retail outlets and restaurants inside the Forum Shops. So we've finally made our way down to the Harrah's Casino, and Harrah's is another one of the Caesars properties. And again, it was originally called the Holiday Casino. Directly beside Harrah's is it's a very small casino called the Casino Royale. There's no hotel associated with it. It's just a small strip casino. Now, in the background behind the Casino Royale, you can actually see the Venetian Hotel Casino. The Venetian was constructed in 1999. It's owned by a guy by the name of Sheldon Adelson. It was originally the Sands Hotel, and it was owned by Howard Hughes, the famous movie actor, aviator, so on and so forth. But anyway, Sheldon bought the property from Howard Hughes in 1999 and opened up the Venetian again, very high-end, uh, um, beautiful casino resort. Now, the next hotel casino that we'll come across is the Mirage. Now, the Mirage was built in 1989, and it's a Polynesian theme. It was really the first mega resort that was built by Steve Wynn. He owns a couple other properties that we'll get to in a second. But the Mirage is famous for this volcano show that it does every night on the hour beginning at 8 p.m. And it's very impressive to see this volcano show also. So if you can get down to seeing it, it's pretty cool. The other thing that the Mirage is famous for is the Siegfried and Roy show that took place here at the Mirage between 1990 and 2003. This is where these two guys had a performance with lions and tigers, and we'll get down to a monument of that particular show. Unfortunately, it ended in 2003 when Roy was actually critically injured by one of his tigers. So we'll show you that monument here in just a minute. And there's the Siegfried and Roy monument. Now, directly beside the Mirage is Treasure Island Hotel and Casino. Now, Treasure Island is famous for the pirate ships that sit out front. There's two pirate ships. And between the years 1993 and 2003, they actually had a nightly reenactment of these two pirate ships fighting each other with pirates on each ship shooting cannons at each other. It was really something extremely fun to watch. So this again is one of those things. I'll put a link into the description so you can see a YouTube video of that actually occurring. But that ended in 2003, and that no longer happens. But the pirate ships are still there, and in fact, on the rightmost pirate ship, you can, when you look in, and you'll see the rails that the ships used to move on. The ships moved back and forth, and in fact, this ship used to disappear off to the right behind the event. Of course, since then, they've done some additional construction, built a CBS and a couple other buildings that have basically eliminated the ability for the ship to move. But as we look in here, you'll see the rails that the ships used to ride on. So we've worked our way down to Spring Mountain Road and Las Vegas Boulevard, and as you can see, we're looking at the Wynn Resort and the Encore Resort. Both of them were built by Steve Wynn. The Wynn was built and opened in 2005, and the Encore opened in 2008. So both of them are extremely high-end resorts, very expensive, very nice. So we've worked our way past Treasure Island, and what comes into view is the Trump Hotel. I believe somebody that's relatively famous owns that hotel, or at least his family does. So off there in a distance, we can see the newest addition to the Las Vegas Strip, and it's actually called Resorts World. We'll get a little bit closer to it now. I'll give you a little bit of the backstory as we get closer to it. And it's actually still under construction. Won't open until mid 2021 at this point. So we're going to be crossing this crosswalk, and we're going to come up on another gigantic indoor mall complex. And before I do that, I've turned my attention to the Palazzo Casino Hotel Resort. That also was built by Sheldon Addison and is actually directly beside the Venetian, on the same side of the street as the Venetian is on. So let's go up this crosswalk, and as you can see, we're right at the entrance to the Fashion Show Mall. Again, indoor mall. Believe there's 250 stores and restaurants inside the Fashion Show Mall. So if you're interested in shopping in Vegas, there are 4 or 5 very large indoor malls. Most of them have a variety of stores, but there's a lot of high-end stores in each of these malls. So bring your checkbook. So what we'll do is we'll walk across Las Vegas Boulevard. So now we're on the side where the Wynn Resort is and the Encore Resort, and we'll get down to street level and we'll take a little closer look at Resorts World. Now, Resorts World has actually been in the process here for probably the better part of 4 or 5 years. Went through different ownership. It currently is owned by the Genting Group, which is an Asian-based group. The current projection is that they will have spent $4.3 billion in building this resort. So it will, without a doubt, be the most expensive casino resort on the Strip once it opens, and I'm sure it will be phenomenal. So we're at the far end, or the north end of the Strip, and there in the distance you can see the Stratosphere. That also is a hotel casino, has a restaurant, used to have a number of amusement rides on the top of the Stratosphere. One was called the Big Shot. There was something up there called Insanity, Sky Jump, and X Scream. And I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of fun on the top of the Stratosphere. Off in a distance, you can't actually see it because the Resorts World Casino actually hides it. But behind Resorts World is actually Circus Circus. So Circus Circus is at the far north end of the Las Vegas Strip, and Circus Circus was it opened in 1968. So that pretty much takes us from the far south end of the Strip to the far north end of the Strip. So I sure hope that you have enjoyed this, and it helps you to navigate the Las Vegas Strip when you come. And I intend to update this video in the future, so subscribe to the channel, and so you'll be notified when I publish an update. Thanks for your time.